My name is Freya Franklin, and I'm 28 years old. 3 years ago, my sister told our parents I tried to seduce her fiancé. My father cut me off that night. My mother didn't even look at me when I left. For 3 years, I didn't exist to them. No birthday calls, no Christmas cards, nothing. Until last Tuesday morning at 9:42 a.m., when my mom saw a TikTok video of my sister's husband trending, the same man who was supposed to be my victim. By the next morning, his name was everywhere: Boston Globe, NBC Boston, every screen. My mom grabbed my dad's arm so hard it left 5 finger-shaped bruises when she watched what Preston Vanderberg did in that video. The same man my sister swore I seduced. The same man she knew was lying the whole time. This is what happened when the truth finally caught up. The Franklin family looked perfect on paper. My father, Gregory Franklin, retired CEO. My mother, Caroline Franklin, former professor of medicine at Boston Medical College. My sister, Victoria, Harvard Law, 33 years old, arguing cases that actually changed policy, as Mom liked to remind everyone. And me, Freya, 28, compliance officer, the practical one. We spent a week every July at Martha's Vineyard. The summer of 2021, Dad rented a $2.4 million property called Ocean View Estate. 7 days, 12 people total, extended family, Victoria's college friends, Preston's brother. The kind of vacation that looked beautiful in photos. On the first night, Dad pulled me aside in the hallway. I remember the exact words. "Try to be more like your sister this week, Freya. Preston's family is watching." I didn't ask what he meant. I already knew. Victoria had always been the one, the achiever, the daughter who made our parents proud at country club dinners and church fundraisers. When she got into Harvard in 2016, there were 14 people at the celebration dinner. When I graduated college in 2018 with honors, my parents left my ceremony early for Victoria's moot court competition. I counted once. There were 14 family photos in our Brookline living room. 11 featured Victoria. 3 included me, and in 2 of those, I was partially cropped out. Mom used to say things like, "Compliance work is respectable, Freya, but Victoria is arguing cases that actually change policy." I stopped trying to compete around my sophomore year of college. But that night at Martha's Vineyard, some small part of me still wanted them to see me. Preston Vanderberg was 35, VP of Marketing at Technova Solutions, an AI analytics company valued at $400 million, Dartmouth undergrad. Wharton, M.B.A. His family had been in Boston since the 1800s. Old money. Good breeding. Mom said it at least 6 times that week. This is exactly the match we hoped for Victoria. Preston was charming. He knew how to work a room, but there was something about the way he looked at people. Something calculating. I noticed it at their engagement party 8 months earlier. The way his smile never quite reached his eyes. On the second night of our vacation, he approached me on the deck while I was reading. July 14th, around 11 p.m. "Freya, can I talk to you privately about something?" I said I was busy. I went to bed. I should have listened. At 11:38 p.m. that night, my phone buzzed. An email from Preston. Subject line: "I need to apologize." I opened it. The first line read, "Freya, I'm sorry for my behavior earlier. It was inappropriate and I shouldn't have put you in that position. Can we please talk tomorrow morning before—" The message cut off. Either he unsent it, or my connection dropped. I never found out which. I heard Victoria calling for Preston from their room down the hall. I archived the email and went to sleep. I didn't know what he meant by my behavior. I didn't care. I just wanted the week to be over. But that email, I should have screenshot it right then. July 16th, the third night. We had a big dinner at the estate. 6:30 p.m. start time. 12 guests seated around the long table on the terrace overlooking the water. 8 bottles of wine opened. I sat in seat number 11, at the far end, near the kitchen door. Victoria and Preston sat at the head of the table. She kept touching his arm, laughing too loud at his stories. He told everyone about the Cambridge deal he'd closed the previous month. My mother looked at them like they were a painting she'd commissioned. I felt nauseous. Not from the wine. I'd had half a glass. From the performance of it all. At 9:35 p.m., I excused myself. I told Victoria I had a headache. She barely looked up. I called an Uber. I should have said goodbye. The Uber arrived at 9:47 p.m. I have the receipt. Pickup location: Ocean View Estate Driveway. Driver's name was Marcus. He asked if I was leaving early, said the party looked fun from outside. Just tired, I said. Long week. The drive took 16 minutes, 4.2 miles to the Harborview Inn, where I'd booked my own room because I couldn't stand another night in that house pretending we were a happy family. Drop-off time: 10:03 p.m. I checked into room 447 at 10:12 p.m. The front desk clerk was a college student named Amy. She smiled and asked if I needed help with bags. I didn't have any, just my purse and my phone. I took a shower. I was asleep by 10:45 p.m. My phone was on Do Not Disturb. I didn't see the calls until morning. 33 missed calls, all from family. At 1:15 a.m., someone pounded on my door, hard, continuous. I thought it was an emergency. I opened the door in my pajamas. My father stood there. His face was red, his jaw was tight. Get dressed, we need to talk, now. I was too disoriented to argue. I got dressed. I followed him to his car. We drove back to the estate in silence. 16 minutes. I counted every traffic light. When we walked into the living room, everyone was there. Victoria on the couch, crying. Preston sitting beside her, face serious. Mom in the armchair, staring at the floor. The other 9 guests had left. Dad stood in front of me and said, "Victoria told us what you did, what you tried to do to Preston tonight." I looked at Victoria. She wouldn't meet my eyes. Preston looked at the floor. And I knew. Whatever she'd said, they'd already decided I was guilty. Victoria's story went like this. After I left the dinner, around 9:45 p.m., she said, she went upstairs to bed around 11:15 p.m. She walked past the guest hallway and saw me standing outside Preston's door. I'd changed clothes, she said. I was wearing something inappropriate. I knocked on his door. When he answered, I said, "I just want to talk to you alone, Preston." He gently rejected me, according to Victoria. Told me it wasn't appropriate. That's when I became upset, she said, and tried to touch his arm. Tried to kiss him. Victoria intervened. I left in tears. Time of the alleged incident: 11:30 p.m. I stood there, listening to my sister describe an event that never happened. I opened my mouth to speak. Dad held up his hand. "I don't want to hear excuses, Freya." I tried to explain. I pulled out my phone, showed him the Uber receipt. 9:47 p.m. pickup, 10:03 p.m. drop-off, 4.2 miles away. I wasn't there, I said. I couldn't have been there at 11:30. I was at the hotel. I can show you the check-in log. Dad barely glanced at my phone. "You could have come back," he said. I didn't come back. Call the hotel. Check the security cameras. He didn't. My mother sat in that armchair, crying quietly, her face turned away from me. Preston said nothing. Absolutely nothing. Victoria cried louder. The confrontation lasted 23 minutes. From 1:47 a.m. to 2:10 a.m. I know because I kept checking my phone, hoping someone would look at the timestamp. Hoping someone would ask the obvious questions. No one did. At 2:10 a.m., my father said, "I will not have this kind of behavior associated with the Franklin name. You've embarrassed us. You've betrayed your sister. Leave. I left at 2:31 a.m. As I walked out, I heard Victoria whisper to Preston, "I'm so sorry you had to go through this." And he said nothing. Absolutely nothing. I drove back to Boston at 7:30 a.m. on July 17th. I called my mother. No answer. I called Victoria. The call went straight to voicemail. She'd blocked me. I sent my father an email. Detailed. Calm. 3 attachments. The Uber receipt, the hotel confirmation, a screenshot of my text to Mom sent at 9:50 p.m. from the car saying I was heading to the hotel early. He opened it at 9:15 a.m. I saw the read receipt. No response. I sat in my 340-square-foot studio apartment in the North End. Rent, $850 a month. I looked around at the blank walls and realized what was happening. I'd been erased. On day 4, I got a text from my mom's number. One line, "Please stop contacting us." Over the next 3 weeks, I was removed from everything. The family group chat, removed August 2nd. My father's 62nd birthday party on August 14th, 85 guests. I got a formal email disinviting me. Given recent circumstances, we think it's best you don't attend. My cousin Lily's wedding on September 3rd. My save the date was rescinded via email from her mother. I called my Aunt Helen, my mom's sister. She'd known me my entire life. "How could you do that to your own sister, Freya?" she said. "And at such a happy time in her life?" "I didn't do anything," I said. "Caroline told me everything. I'm very disappointed in you." She hung up. By September, I'd been cut from 4 family events. The family trust documents still listed my name, but Dad's lawyer mentioned he was discussing changes. The last time I saw my name in a family context was the Christmas card list that November. Someone had put a single line through Freya Franklin in red pen. October 12th, 2021, my 26th birthday. No calls, no texts, no cards. I sent my mother a card anyway, handwritten. I mailed it to the family house on October 10th. Inside I wrote, "Mom, I don't know how to reach you anymore, but I'm still here. I love you. Freya." 6 days later, the envelope came back. Stamped. Return to sender. The handwriting on the envelope was Victoria's. I'd recognize it anywhere. We used to write each other notes in high school. I kept that card. The one that came back. I don't know why. Maybe I needed proof that I tried. Winter 2021 was the longest season of my life. Thanksgiving. I ate a $12.99 pre-made turkey meal from Whole Foods, alone, at my kitchen counter. Christmas. I worked 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Only 3 people in the office that day. I volunteered for the shift. New Year's Eve. I was asleep by 10:30 p.m. Friends asked, "Are you going home for the holidays?" I said, "No, I'm staying in Boston this year." I didn't tell them I had no home to go to. By New Year's Day 2022, I'd gone 184 consecutive days without a single word from my family. That morning, I made a resolution. If they wouldn't let me prove my innocence, I'd prove my competence. I'd build a life they couldn't erase. January 2022. I was a compliance officer at Gallagher Pharmaceuticals. Mid-size company. Junior analyst position. Starting salary, $52,000. I worked 14-hour days. I took every case no one else wanted. Workplace harassment claims, fraud investigations, policy violations. I volunteered for everything. From January to June, I handled 89 compliance cases. The team average was 34. I worked 6 consecutive weekends in February and March. I completed an advanced certificate in corporate ethics online. 8 weeks. I did the coursework between midnight and 2 a.m. My manager, Helen Cartwright, called me into her office in June. I thought I was getting a warning for overwork. Instead, She slid a folder across the desk. Promotion offer. Senior analyst. You earned it. June 15th, 2022. I was promoted to senior compliance analyst. New salary, $68,000. $16,000 raise. New office on the 12th floor. It had a window. I could see Boston Harbor. My colleagues congratulated me, took me out for drinks after work. I texted my mom that night. I got promoted today. Senior analyst. Thought you'd want to know. Delivered. Read at 2:47 p.m. No response. I went to a bar alone that night. Ordered one drink. I toasted myself in the mirror behind the bartender. The woman next to me asked, "Celebrating?" I said, "Something like that." Fall 2022. Helen Cartwright became my mentor. She was 58, Chief Compliance Officer, 30 years of experience. She saw something in me, or maybe she saw something running from me. She never asked. She just taught. Every Friday at 4 p.m. we met for 45 minutes. She taught me forensic document analysis, interview techniques, how to build an airtight case. Her mantra, "Let the receipts speak." She said, "Good investigators don't get angry, Freya. They get evidence. Anger clouds judgment. Evidence ends arguments." One day she asked, "Who are you building this armor for, Freya?" I didn't answer, but I think she knew. By early 2023, I had a life that looked normal from the outside. I moved to a nicer apartment in the South End, 620 square feet. One bedroom, $1,400 a month. I signed the lease in June. I joined a book club in March. We met the second Thursday of every month. I went on 4 first dates. One lasted 2 months. It ended amicably. I had colleagues I grabbed lunch with. I had a gym routine. If anyone asked about my family, I said, "We're not close." No one pushed. 23 months. Still zero contact. But every birthday, every holiday, I'd still check my phone. Just in case. It never rang. April 2023. 21 months into the exile. I was having coffee with an old college friend, Jessica. She seemed uncomfortable. Finally, she said, "Freya, I need to ask you something. I heard things got messy with you and your sister's fiancé." My stomach dropped. "What did you hear?" She looked down at her cup. "Just that you made things difficult. Your mom told Mrs. Patterson at church, and Mrs. Patterson told a lot of people." "What exactly did my mother say?" Jessica hesitated. "That you have issues with boundaries, and that they had to distance themselves for Victoria's well-being." I checked my social media that night. 17 mutual friends had quietly unfollowed me over the past year. I hadn't noticed. I started investigating, using the same skills I used at work. I discovered 3 distinct branches of the smear campaign. Branch 1, Church and Social Circle. My mother told Mrs. Patterson and the Trinity Church ladies that I'd made inappropriate advances toward Preston, that I had boundary issues. The story spread to at least 34 people in their social network. Branch 2, Professional. My father told 2 of his former colleagues, both of whom had connections in my industry, that there were family troubles and I'd been unstable. When potential employers called for references in 2022, 2 of the 4 people I'd listed gave tepid recommendations. I lost 1 job opportunity in the final round. The position was suddenly filled. Branch 3, Extended Family. Victoria told our cousins that I'd tried to ruin her wedding because I was jealous and always wanted what she had. The campaign had been running for 2 years, methodical, thorough, and it was working. June 2023. A new guy joined our compliance team, Christopher Hayes, 31 years old. He mentioned during lunch one day that he grew up in Brookline, same town as my family. I went quiet. A week later, Christopher approached me in the break room. It was 12:35 p.m. I remember because I was watching the clock, waiting for my lunch to heat up. "Hey, weird question," he said. "Are you related to Gregory Franklin?" "Why?" "My mom knows him from the country club. She mentioned something about family trouble." I felt my face go hot. Christopher kept talking. "Look, I don't know what happened, and I don't need to. But whatever your family's saying, I work with you every day. I know who you are. Just wanted you to know that." I thanked him. That night, I couldn't sleep. If it had spread to my workplace, how far had it gone? July 19th, 2023. I attended the Boston Healthcare Compliance Summit. Seaport Hotel, Grand Ballroom. At 2:40 p.m., I ran into Mr. Thomas Brennan. He'd worked with my father from 1998 to 2015. He'd mentored me during a college internship. He saw me, made eye contact, then looked away. I walked over. "Mr. Brennan, did my father say something about me?" He looked uncomfortable. "Freya, I think it's best if we don't. I wish you well." He walked away. 90 seconds. That's how long the conversation lasted. I left the conference early, sat in my car in the parking garage for 40 minutes. I didn't cry. I was past crying. I just sat there. And that's when I realized I'd been collecting receipts all along. Not for revenge, for survival. I got home that night at 11:04 p.m. I opened my laptop, created a folder, title, July 2021, Evidence. I compiled everything. Receipt 1, Uber trip. Pickup 9:47 p.m. Ocean View Estate. Drop off 10:03 p.m. Harborview Inn. GPS route included, 4.2 miles. Receipt 2, hotel booking confirmation. Room 447. Check-in 10:12 p.m. I'd requested the keycard entry log through a lawyer friend. It showed entry at 10:12 p.m. No exit until 7:15 a.m. the next morning. Receipt 3, Preston's email. July 14th, 11:38 p.m. Subject: I need to apologize. First line: I'm sorry for my behavior earlier, it was inappropriate, and I shouldn't have put you in that position. Receipt 4. Text message to my mother. Sent 9:50 p.m. from the Uber. Heading to hotel early, have a headache, see you tomorrow. Read receipt. 9:52 p.m. Receipt 5. Security camera stills from the hotel lobby. I'd formally requested them. They showed me entering at 10:12 p.m. Total file size, 47 megabytes. I saved it in 3 locations. Laptop, external drive, cloud backup. I never planned to use them, but I also never planned to be erased from my own family. I zoomed in on Preston's email, read it again. I'm sorry for my behavior earlier, it was inappropriate and I shouldn't have put you in that position. Can we please talk tomorrow morning before... The message cut off. But that one sentence was enough. He was apologizing for something he did, not something I did. Before? What? Preston? Before everyone found out? Before Victoria noticed? I'd never know. But I didn't need to know. I pulled up the Uber GPS route, examined it like a case file. Pickup, 9:47 p.m. Ocean View Estate driveway. Route, direct, 4.2 miles. Drop-off, 10:03 p.m. Harborview Inn entrance. Hotel keycard entry, 10:12 p.m. Victoria's claimed incident, 11:30 p.m. I did the math. To return to the estate by 11:30 p.m., I would have had to check into my hotel, then immediately drive back. 16 minutes each way. That would put me back at the estate around 10:45 p.m. at the earliest. But the keycard log showed no exit from my room. Physical impossibility. I printed the route, highlighted every timestamp, put it in a manila folder labeled "The Night I Wasn't There," and I waited. I showed Helen part of the evidence, not the full family context, just enough. I said, "If you had proof someone lied about you, but no one would look at it, what would you do?" She thought for a moment. "Receipts are only powerful when the audience is ready to see them," she said. "Too early, people dismiss. Too late, people have moved on. Timing matters." "What if they're never ready?" "Then you wait for the crack," she said. "Every wall has one." We met in her office on August 4th, 2023, 4:15 p.m. She didn't know the full story. I didn't tell her. But her final piece of advice stayed with me. Evidence doesn't force belief, Freya. It gives people permission to believe what they already suspected. I didn't know when the crack would come. I just knew I had to be ready when it did. September 11th, 2023. I was promoted again. Senior Compliance Officer. $87,000. 4 people now reported to me. I had a corner office on the 14th floor. 2 windows. The company sent out an announcement email. My colleagues congratulated me. My boss said, "Your family must be so proud." I smiled. "Thank you." They would be. I went back to my office, closed the door, sat in my new chair, and felt nothing. I'd done it. I was successful. I had a title. A salary most people my age would envy, and there was no one to tell. That night, I drafted a text to my mom. I got promoted again. Senior officer now. My thumb hovered over send for 3 minutes, then I deleted it. October 2023, case number 427, a woman named Amanda Torres, 29 years old, accounts payable specialist. She'd been accused of workplace harassment by a colleague, a false claim designed to cover the colleague's own mistakes. I investigated for 3 weeks, September 28th to October 19th. 142 pages of documentation. I found the truth. Emails, witness statements, timeline inconsistencies. I cleared Amanda's name. The accuser was placed on probation. Amanda got her job back, plus $12,000 in back pay. She cried in my office when I told her. "No one believed me," she said. "They all thought I was lying. But you found the truth." "I just followed the evidence," I said. "The evidence doesn't lie." She hugged me. For just a second, I let myself feel it. The vindication I'd been chasing for 2 years. Then I went back to my office and closed the door. November 2023. I realized the date. July 17th, 2021 to July 17th, 2024. 3 years. I sat in my apartment and did the math. 1,095 days. 0 calls. 0 texts. 0 emails. I'd missed my mother's birthday in August. For the first time in my life, I didn't send a card. I'd missed my father's birthday. Same. I felt nothing. Not anger. Not sadness. Just numb. I thought, 3 years. 1,095 days. And I still check my phone every morning, like an idiot. I stopped counting after that night. Not because I'd moved on. Because I couldn't carry the weight of every single day anymore. November 23rd. Christopher invited me to his family's Thanksgiving dinner. I said, "Thanks, but I have plans." I didn't have plans. I ate a $12.99 frozen turkey meal at 6:30 p.m. alone. I was asleep by 9. At 2 a.m., I woke up, checked my phone out of habit, scrolled Instagram. I don't know why. I'd promised myself I'd stop looking. Victoria's story. Posted at 7:45 p.m., a family photo. Everyone around the table. My father, my mother, Victoria, Preston, 6 extended family members. Everyone smiling. Caption, "Grateful for family, the people who stand by you no matter what." #blessed. #family first. 340 likes by midnight. I looked at that photo for 4 minutes. Then I closed the app. I didn't cry. I'd run out of tears somewhere around month 18. I just turned off my phone. And I made myself a promise. I'd never look at her Instagram again. I broke that promise 6 times. January 9th, 2024. Tuesday morning, 9:42 a.m. I was at my desk on the 14th floor, reviewing case file number 516. My phone rang. Mom's number. I stared at it. 3 years, 5 months, 22 days. First call. I answered. My hand was shaking. Freya. Her voice was frantic, crying. Freya, I need you to. There's a video of Preston. It's everywhere. I don't. Her voice cracked. I think we made a mistake. I didn't speak for 10 seconds. I just held the phone. Then I asked the question I'd been waiting 3 years to ask. What video, Mom? She sent me the link. Text message, 9:46 a.m. I clicked it. TikTok. Account. @ZinGuyen2001. Posted the night before, January 8th, 11:04 p.m. Video length, 47 seconds. The camera angle was low, from a bag on a desk. Office setting. You could hear everything. Preston's voice. Zoe, you know I can help with your letter of recommendation, but I need to know you're committed to the team. Maybe we discuss it over dinner. Just us? A young woman's voice. Uncertain. I'm not comfortable with that, Mr. Vanderberg. Preston's shadow moved closer. I think you're misunderstanding. I'm offering you an opportunity. You could see his hand reach toward her shoulder. The young woman. Please don't touch me. The video cut. The caption. When your boss thinks mentorship means something else. This is the second time. I have receipts. #MeToo, #workplace harassment, #Technova. At 9:42 a.m., when my mom called, the video had 1.2 million views. By 6 p.m., it had 4.2 million. I watched it 3 times. And each time, I heard his voice. The same voice that sat silent while Victoria lied. The same voice that let them destroy me. By 11 a.m., #Preston Vanderberg was trending on TikTok. On Twitter. By 1:14 p.m., the Boston Globe published an article. Technova VP accused of workplace harassment in viral video. At 3:17 p.m., Technova issued a statement. Technova Solutions is committed to maintaining a respectful workplace. Preston Vanderberg has been placed on administrative leave, effective immediately, while we conduct a thorough investigation. Between 5:30 p.m. and 8 p.m., 3 more women came forward. Lauren Hayes, 24, former intern. Madison Cho, 23, junior analyst. Riley Foster, 22, marketing assistant. All of them between 21 and 24 years old. All of them describing the same pattern. Threats. Inappropriate comments. Using his position to corner them. By evening, my phone was buzzing nonstop. Colleagues texting, "Is this the same Preston from your sister's wedding?" I didn't answer. I just kept refreshing the news. 7:38 p.m., same day. Mom called again. She was crying harder than before. I watched the video 12 times, Freya, 12 times. I kept thinking about the way he talks to that girl, the way he threatened her. And I realized. Her voice broke. You tried to tell us? You had the receipts? And we didn't listen. We didn't even look. I heard my father's voice in the background. Caroline, hang up. No, my mother said. No, I need to. Freya, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. The call lasted 8 minutes and 52 seconds. My mother said, I'm sorry, 6 times. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just said very quietly, Mom, I need you to do something for me. Anything, she said. Look at Dad's arm. I woke up Wednesday morning, January 10th, at 6:15 a.m. checked my phone. Preston's name was everywhere. NBC Boston ran a segment at 6:30 a.m. The Boston Globe had it on the front page. LinkedIn posts from people in the industry, Reddit threads, tech blogs. At 6 a.m., Technova issued a new statement. After a preliminary review, Preston Vanderberg's employment has been terminated effective immediately. By 9:15 a.m., Bloomberg reported that the SEC had opened an inquiry into Technova's finances, specifically Preston's expense reports. Two law firms announced they were considering a class action lawsuit. I scrolled, and scrolled, and scrolled. I felt numb, surreal. This is what truth looks like when it finally breaks the surface. By 10 a.m., I had 23 missed calls. Reporters, former mutual friends, even Aunt Helen. Everyone wanted to know. Did you know? I didn't answer, because the real question was, why didn't you believe me? January 11th, 3:17 a.m. My doorbell rang. Continuous. Frantic. I woke up terrified. Checked the peephole. My mother stood outside. Coat over pajamas. Hair messy. No makeup. I opened the door. She stepped inside, shaking. I left, she said. I couldn't stay in that house. I grabbed my keys and I drove here. I'm sorry, I know it's late, She collapsed into sobs. She'd driven 47 minutes from Brookline to my South End apartment in the middle of the night. I stood there for a full minute. Part of me wanted to close the door. The other part, the part that still remembered being her daughter, stepped aside and let her in. We sat at my kitchen table. It was 3:45 a.m. I made tea. My mother told me everything. She'd seen the video on January 8th. A friend, Mrs. Patterson from church, sent it in a group text. Isn't this Victoria's husband? Mom watched it alone in her bedroom. My father was asleep downstairs. She froze, watched it again, recognized Preston's voice, his tone, the way he moved. She couldn't sleep. The next morning, January 9th, she tried to show my father. He refused to watch it first. It's probably taken out of context, he said. My mother screamed at him. Watch it, watch the whole thing. He watched. He went silent. Mom said, what if Freya was telling the truth? Dad said, don't start this. She looked at me, tears running down her face. I made your father watch it, she said. He didn't want to. But I stood there, and I made him. And when it ended, I asked him, does this look like a man who's innocent? My mother reached up, pulled back her coat sleeve. 5 distinct bruises on her left forearm, finger-shaped, dark purple blue. I grabbed his arm when he tried to walk away, she said. I said, we destroyed our daughter for nothing. He pulled away. I held on. I wouldn't let him leave that room until he admitted we were wrong. He never admitted it. He pulled free. Left the house. Went to his office downtown, a studio condo he keeps for late work. That was January 10th, around 9 p.m. Mom stayed up all night. At 2:30 a.m., she grabbed her keys and drove to my apartment. I held on so tight because I needed him to feel something, she said. Anything, even if it was just pain. I stared at those bruises. 5 fingers, like she'd tried to hold on to something that was already gone. I didn't ask if it hurt. I could see it did. I finally asked the question I'd been holding for 3 years. Did you believe Victoria that night? Really believe her? My mother was silent for 30 seconds. Then, I wanted to, because believing her meant our family was still perfect. Believing you meant we'd raised a daughter who could lie like that. And I couldn't face that. She paused. But I should have checked. I should have looked at your receipts. I chose comfort over truth. And I'll never forgive myself. I wanted to scream. I wanted to ask why it took a viral video for her to believe me. But instead, I just said, where's Dad now? She didn't answer. She didn't have to. January 11th through 15th. 5 days. The story escalated. The Boston Globe ran a 3-part investigation. A pattern of abuse, 7 women describe years of harassment by former Technova executive. NBC Boston interviewed 2 of the victims on camera. The New York Times picked it up. Tech industry's #MeToo reckoning continues. Preston's LinkedIn was scrubbed. Profile gone. Technova's stock dropped 8%, from $47.30 to $43.50. Industry whispers, how did this guy get away with it for so long? On day 4, someone leaked Preston's HR file. There had been 2 previous complaints, both dismissed as miscommunication. Both women left the company within 6 months. January 16th, the law firm Morgan & Associates filed an official lawsuit. Suffolk County Court, 5 plaintiffs, Zoe Nguyen, Lauren Hayes, Madison Cho, Riley Foster, 1 anonymous. Civil suit, sexual harassment, hostile work environment. Retaliation, damages sought, $2.3 million combined. At 2 p.m., they held a press conference. I watched the live stream from my office. The lead attorney read a statement. Then Zoe spoke. She was shaking. I stayed quiet for 8 months because I was afraid no one would believe me. Then I realized, staying quiet only protects him. I felt something crack in my chest. This is what believing victims looks like. That night, I got a text from an unknown number. This is Lauren Hayes, one of the plaintiffs. I heard you tried to warn people about Preston years ago. I'm sorry no one listened. Thank you for trying. I stared at that message for 10 minutes. Then I saved it. January 17th, 11:42 p.m. My phone buzzed. Voicemail. Victoria's number. First contact in 3 years. I listened. My hand shook. Her voice was cold, defensive. Freya, I don't know what you think you've accomplished by staying silent all this time, but this situation with Preston, it has nothing to do with what happened that night. You still crossed a line, and now, because of this media circus, people are trying to rewrite history. I need you to not make this worse. For the family. Click. 1 minute, 47 seconds. No apology, no acknowledgement. Just, you still crossed a line. I played it twice. Then I saved it. Because that voicemail told me everything I needed to know. Victoria hadn't changed. She'd just lost control of the narrative. January 22nd, the Suffolk County prosecutor announced a criminal investigation. 3 formal complaints filed, separate from the civil lawsuit. Criminal harassment. Attempted assault. 1 incident had escalated. Witness intimidation. He'd threatened 1 woman's job after she reported to HR. If convicted, jail time was possible, 2 to 5 years. Preston hired a crisis PR firm, Whitmore and Associates, top-tier defense attorneys, $850 an hour. Public statement. I deny these baseless allegations and look forward to clearing my name. That same day, someone forwarded me a screenshot, a group chat, Victoria's friends, discussing the case. 1 message. Do you think Victoria knew? Another. She had to. They were engaged for months. Then silence. Late January, the social circle collapsed. Couples who'd attended Victoria and Preston's wedding started distancing themselves. Quiet unfollows on social media. No public statements. Just absence. Victoria's Instagram went private on January 23rd. She'd had over 340 comments asking about Preston. 3 tech conferences rescinded Preston's previous speaker invitations, retroactively removed his name from past panels. Boston Tech Summit, Innovate Con, Digital Leadership Forum. Former mutual friends started reaching out to me. Text from January 25th. Freya, I owe you an apology. I heard your family's version, and I didn't question it. I should have. I'm sorry. I got 11 of those messages. I didn't reply to most of them. What was I supposed to say? It's okay that you thought I was a liar for 3 years? It wasn't okay, But I wasn't interested in more apologies. I wanted something else. January 28th. My mother called. We'd been talking every 2 days since her 3 a.m. visit. "Your father wants to meet," she said. "He says he's ready to talk." "Is Victoria coming?" "He says it should be just us. The 4 of us." I paused. "No," I said. "If we do this, it's in a neutral space, with a mediator, and I bring my receipts." My mother agreed. I hired a family mediator, Dr. Sharon Reeves. 15 years of experience, $400 for a 2-hour session. Location: Caldwell and Partners Law Firm. Conference Room C, downtown Boston, February 2nd, 2:30 p.m. I hung up. Then I opened my laptop. I had 5 days to prepare, and I was going to use every single one of them. I spent 4 days getting ready. I printed all the receipts, organized them chronologically, added annotations, created a 1-page timeline summary, 23 pages total. I practiced my delivery with Helen, February 1st, 5 p.m., 1 hour. She said, "Remember, Freya, you're not seeking their approval anymore. You're setting the record straight. There's a difference." I chose my outfit carefully. Navy suit, white blouse, armor. The night before the meeting, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking, what if it doesn't matter? What if they still don't believe me? Then I remembered Lauren Hayes' text, and I got up. Because it wasn't about them believing me anymore. It was about me believing myself. February 2nd, 2:30 p.m. I arrived early, 2:15, Conference Room C, 12th floor, 20 feet by 15 feet, glass table, 6 leather chairs, view of Boston Harbor. Dr. Reeves arrived at 2:20. She set ground rules. Everyone speaks uninterrupted. Focus on facts. No personal attacks. My father arrived at 2:28, stiff, dark suit. He barely looked at me. My mother arrived at 2:29, nervous, puffy eyes. Victoria arrived at 2:33, late, sunglasses inside, designer bag. She sat at the far end of the table. The tension was thick enough to cut. Dr. Reeves said, "Today's goal is not to assign blame, but to create space for truth and, if possible, healing. Everyone will have a chance to speak. Freya has requested to go first." I placed my folder on the table. 23 pages, 3 years of silence. Victoria glanced at it, then looked away. She already knew what was inside. I spoke for 12 minutes. My voice was steady, cold, procedural. I didn't cry. I laid out the timeline. July 14th, 2021, 11:38 p.m. Preston sent me an email. Subject line, "I need to apologize." First line, "I'm sorry for my behavior earlier. It was inappropriate, and I shouldn't have put you in that position." I slid the printed email across the table. He was apologizing for something he did, 2 days before the alleged incident. I pulled out the next document. July 16th, 9:47 p.m. I left the estate. Uber receipt. GPS route. 4.2 miles to the Harborview Inn. 16-minute drive. Drop-off. 10:03 p.m. I showed them the map, highlighted the route. Hotel check-in, 10:12 p.m. Security keycard log shows entry at 10:12 p.m. No exit until 7:15 a.m. the following morning. I looked at Victoria. "You claimed I was at the estate at 11:30 p.m. I was 4.2 miles away, in a locked hotel room. The math doesn't work." I pulled out the final document. Text message to Mom. Sent 9:50 p.m. from the Uber. "Heading to hotel early. Have a headache. See you tomorrow." Read receipt. 9:52 p.m. I slid the folder across the table to my father. "I gave you this evidence that night. You chose not to look at it. You chose to believe her. And I want to know why." I paused. I'm not here for an apology. I'm here because I need you to look at these receipts and tell me what would have changed your mind, because I had the truth. And it didn't matter. My father picked up the folder, skimmed it, didn't read carefully, put it down. Freya, I understand you're upset. But Victoria was very convincing. She was crying. Preston confirmed her story. We had no reason to doubt them. You had receipts, I said. You had proof. What you didn't have was the willingness to question your golden child. His face reddened. That's not fair. Fair? I said. You erased me for 3 years. You told people I was unstable. You poisoned my professional reputation. And you're talking to me about fair? You have to understand, he said. Victoria was hysterical. She seemed so certain. And Preston, he was her fiancé. Why would he lie? Because he's a predator, I said. And you chose to believe a predator over your own daughter. My father's jaw tightened. My mother put her hand on his arm. He pulled away. And that's when I saw it. The same pattern. He couldn't admit he was wrong. Not even now. My mother started crying. I'm so sorry, Freya, you're right. I chose the easy answer. I didn't want to believe Victoria could lie like that. It meant I failed as a mother. And she sobbed. I see it now. I saw it the moment I watched that video. Preston is exactly who you said he was, and we threw you away. Caroline, stop, my father said. No, Gregory, my mother said, sharp. We were wrong. Admit it, we were wrong. She looked at me. Every night for 3 years I told myself we did the right thing, but we didn't. We abandoned you. And I don't know how to fix that. 18 minutes into the session. My mother's breakdown was genuine. I could see it. My father tried to silence her twice. She refused. It was the first time I'd ever seen her stand up to him in public. Victoria finally spoke, and what she said made my blood freeze. Victoria leaned forward. Her voice was cold. I don't care about your receipts, Freya. Preston told me you came on to him. And even if the timeline doesn't match perfectly, that doesn't erase what I saw. You didn't see anything, I said. Because I wasn't there. You've always been jealous of me, she said. Always. And now you're using this scandal, to make yourself the victim. But you're not. You tried to ruin my engagement. And you failed. And I'm not going to let you rewrite history just because Preston turned out to be... She stopped. This isn't about you. I looked at her. Really looked at her. She hadn't opened the folder. Hadn't looked at a single receipt. She'd pushed it away without reading it. You've always wanted what I had, she said. And when you couldn't have Preston, you tried to destroy him. And now that he's been exposed, you think you're vindicated. But you're not. You're still the same jealous little sister you've always been. 22 minutes into the session. No apology, no acknowledgement, full denial. I realized she wasn't going to change. She'd built her entire identity on being the golden child, and admitting she lied meant losing that, so she'd rather lose me. I stood up. I didn't raise my voice. Victoria, I don't need you to admit you lied. I know you did. Mom knows. And deep down, even Dad knows. I paused. What I need is for all of you to understand. I'm done. I picked up my bag. I spent 3 years waiting for you to come back. To apologize, to see me. And you didn't. So now, the door is open. But I'm the one controlling it. I looked at my mother. Mom, you're welcome in my life, if you're willing to do the work. I looked at my father. At Victoria. Dad. Victoria. You're not. Not until you can look at those receipts and admit what you did. 26 minutes into the session. I walked to the door. I didn't slam it. I didn't look back. I just closed it. Quietly. Behind me, I heard my mother sob. My father said nothing, and Victoria's chair scraped as she stood up. I didn't care. I kept walking. February 3rd, 11:04 p.m., the night after the session. Victoria posted on Facebook. Public account. 340 plus mutual connections. The post was long. Victim narrative. I've stayed silent during this difficult time, but I can no longer watch my family be torn apart by old grudges. Yes, my husband made mistakes, but that doesn't mean my sister's version of events from 3 years ago is accurate. I stand by what I saw that night, and I won't let her use Preston's downfall to rewrite history and paint me as a villain. I'm protecting my family. #truth. #family. #moving forward. She ended with a broken heart emoji. By 8 a.m. the next morning, the post had 187 comments. Most of them were not supportive. February 4th, morning. The comments flooded in. This is unhinged. You're defending a predator to avoid admitting you lied? I was at that session. Your sister had receipts. You refused to look at them. Old college friends who'd been told Victoria's version started commenting. Wait, what? My mother's church friends. Caroline, is this true? The post backfired completely. By 2:14 p.m., Victoria deleted it, but screenshots were everywhere. At least 40 people had saved it. Victoria lost 52 Facebook friends in 24 hours. Someone sent me a screenshot of a group chat. Victoria's closest friends, the ones from her wedding. One message. I can't defend this anymore. Another. She needs help. And then the one that made me smile. Freya was right all along. February 6th. I received a certified letter. Victoria's lawyer, Harrington and Locke. Family law firm. Cease and desist. Threatened legal action. Claimed I was spreading false information. Defamation. Demanded I. Stop discussing family matters publicly. I read the letter. Called my own lawyer, Rebecca Nguyen. Helen had recommended her. Rebecca laughed. She has no case, she said. You have documentation, and you haven't even been talking publicly. This is intimidation. Want me to respond? Yes, I said. Make it clear. Rebecca sent a response on February 8th. The key line. Our client has extensive documentation proving her innocence. Should your client wish to pursue this matter, we welcome the opportunity to present said evidence in open court. Victoria never responded. February 10th. I sat in my apartment, reading over the timeline of the past month. Video viral, January 9th. Mom's visit, January 11th. Family session, February 2nd. Victoria's post, February 3rd. Lawyer letter, February 6th. 4 weeks. My entire life turned upside down. I realized something. Victoria will never admit she lied, because admitting it means she's not the person she's pretended to be. And she'd rather burn everything down than face that. That night, I blocked Victoria's number. Not out of anger. Out of acceptance. Some people will never choose the truth, and I couldn't wait for her anymore. August 2024. 6 months after the confrontation, my life looked different, but not perfect movie different. I was still senior compliance officer. Same apartment in the South End. But I'd redecorated. Soft gray paint, new couch, plants, photos on the walls, friends, not family. Salary, $92,000. Small raise. I had a routine. Gym 3 times a week. Book club on second Thursdays. Saturday brunch with colleagues. I was dating casually. Nothing serious. No rush. I'd been invited to speak at 2 conferences. Healthcare Compliance Forum. Ethics in Practice Summit. My professional reputation was intact. Restored. One of my coworkers said, "You seem different. Lighter." "Why?" I said. I stopped carrying things that weren't mine to carry. But every Saturday at 10 a.m. I did something I never thought I'd do again. I met my mother for coffee. It started on March 9th, the first Saturday after the confrontation. Every week since then. Same place, same time. Cafe Vittoria, North End. Table number 7 by the window. Our spot. My mother had started therapy. Individual sessions with Dr. Linda Morrison. Weekly. She'd been going since February 15th. The progress was slow. Some Saturdays were awkward. We didn't talk about my father. We didn't talk about Victoria unless I brought them up. We talked about my work, my life, how I was feeling. She listened. She showed up. One Saturday in June, she said, "I know I can't get those 3 years back, Freya. I just hope I can earn new ones." Last week, she brought something. A small box. She slid it across the table. "I've been holding on to this," she said. "I think it's time I gave it back to you." It was an old shoebox, taped shut. I opened it. Inside, every birthday card I'd sent, the ones that came back. Every letter. Photos from my childhood. My baby hospital bracelet from July 12th, 1996. Report cards from elementary school through high school. A drawing I'd made when I was 7. Stick figures. Title, "My Family." All 4 of us holding hands. My mother's voice shook. "I couldn't throw them away, even when your father wanted me to. I kept them. Because you're still my daughter. You always were." She paused. "I packed these away because I couldn't look at them without feeling ashamed. But you deserve to have them back. They're yours." I didn't say anything for a long time. I just held that box. And for the first time in 4 years, I felt like I had a mother again. My father sent one email in May. Subject, "I'd like to talk." I responded with one line. "Not until you can admit what you did. Not excuses. Admission." No reply. He chose pride over his daughter. I was at peace with that. Victoria, I'd heard updates through my mother. She and Preston separated in April. Divorce filed in June. Preston's criminal trial was scheduled for September. Victoria moved back in with my parents in May. I didn't feel vindicated. I didn't feel angry. I felt neutral. That was her life, not mine. I'd been in therapy since March. Dr. Alan Foster, bi-weekly sessions. He said, "Closure doesn't mean they apologize. Closure is deciding you're done waiting." I didn't check Victoria's social media anymore. I didn't ask my mom about my dad. Because the door was open, but I was the one deciding who walked through. August 17th, 2024. My 29th birthday. Morning. Text from my mom. "Happy birthday, sweetheart. Coffee at 10? We met at Cafe Vittoria. She brought a small cake. Homemade, lopsided, perfect. She sang happy birthday quietly. I blew out the candles. Evening. Surprise dinner. Helen organized it. My compliance team. Close friends from book club. Christopher. 12 people total. Giacomo's restaurant in the North End. Private room. They brought out a cake. Small. Number 29 in candles. Someone said, "Speech, speech." I smiled. "I'm just grateful," I said. "For all of you. For showing up. That's all I ever wanted. People who show up." I made a wish. Silently. I wished for nothing. Because for the first time in 4 years, I had everything I needed. Later that night, I stood at my apartment door. The one I chose. The one I pay for. The one with my name on the lease. I looked at it for a long time, and I realized. This door. This life. It's mine. I built it. Brick by brick. Nobody gets to walk through unless I say so. The door stays open, but I'm the one holding the key.